I'm Hildegard Hagemann. I'm working for the German Commission for Justice and Peace. Labor migration is a very normal phenomenon because everybody wants to have a good workplace or a good perspective for the life. So when you decide in your age to move to another country, you should be able to do so. Unfortunately, one sees more and more statistics also, let's say in African countries and Asian countries, that people are lured into migration while promising good work. Let it be in the domestic field, domestic workers field, in the construction work, in touristic or whatsoever. And very often these promises are not fulfilled. You have to organize people who are unorganized so that they can voice out and stand in for their rights. Migrant workers face the vulnerability of a language problem, of not knowing the labor rights from the beginning where they are in the countries of destination. So they are vulnerable regarding the legal status they are in. Otherwise, of course, they don't know the environment, they don't know the culture. It's not for no reason that labor migration is a central topic in the GFMD from the beginning and also for the civil society days. So our expectations is, of course, that also governments and the other stakeholders involved take up this issue of the vulnerability and the protection of rights, access to social protection systems. It took some time to get a real momentum from the civil society to get involved in the GCM, or in the Global Compact of Migration, as well as in the Global Compact for Refugees. Maybe it's also a task for civil society to reach out to broader one to make people aware of these new political processes and documents. It's still the implementation really of the rights that you can say a worker is a worker, so there is no discrimination between workers. We still have a lot to do in regard to access, I would say, to legal protection and social security. We have to look into other aspects like slow criminalization of the idea of being an irregular migrant, not following legal pathways or regular pathways of migration, because the problem is we don't have them. So that means very easily migrants are coming to the status of being irregular because they are not proper regular labor migration pathways into the European Union. Very often civil society organizations or parishes or whatsoever, they're the first entry points also for migrants. So that means they are very close to them and hear all their worries. Then another civil society part, let's say, are the unions or the labor movements. So because at the workplace they are entitled and actually mandated to hear the issues of and concerns of the laborers. That means the information flow is there. The information, the expertise can be built in civil society, and being, let's say, a national civil society landscape, you can approach your governments better than being a migrant one with all these problems of invulnerability, with the language, with the knowing who is who actually, how does government work, etc. So there is a big task for civil society to be, so to say, a bridge or catalyst between the actors, or between the migrants and local governments. I mean, one big right is, going back to my start, is the right to organize, that they are entitled to form labor organizations or join unions. And that is very often hampered because, on the one hand, the migrants don't know how many unions or what unions are in charge of that specific economic sector. On the other hand, they themselves are so in fear. The other one is the right to social security, which is not always granted to the full extent. And of course, very basic, the right to get a decent income and that is also very often jeopardized because the wages are not paid fully. One has to make sure that when there is fraud, when there is violation of these rights, that the migrants get a full legal protection also without being afraid of losing the status. And there I would see a big responsibility of private sector, not go for wage dumping, not exploit migrants only because that is a competitive factor. So and private sector must be involved in social dialogue with the unions, with government, so that they are really getting into negotiation terms on also these standard social standard issues, and not only how to increase profit.